Good morning, guys. I'm Miss Rhodes, and you usually see me at the Ben Main Library, but today I got to come on a field trip. Miss Valerie came with me today, and we are at the Alabama Gulf State Park, and we are so glad that you're coming on a field trip with us. Now, this really is an alligator in front of me, and our guide today is Miss Johanna from Alabama's Gulf State Park, and she is going to tell us all about this alligator. I can't believe I'm this close to an alligator, and I'm about to learn all about it. Come on, guys, let's see how the class goes.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm so happy you were able to join us today on your field trip. And as you've heard, we're talking about alligators. So here we have an American alligator. And alligators are native to Alabama. You can find them all over the state. And they really like freshwater ecosystems. So here at Gulf State Park, we have lots of good areas where they can live and go through their lives. So very, very cool animals. Now this one is just a baby. It's only about 7 months old. He is about a little over a foot long right now, but an adult male alligator could grow to be about 15 feet long. So they get huge. Now, we are focusing on tails and tails for your field trip today. So we're going to talk about this little baby's tail. You might notice that compared to the rest of his body, his tail is very, very long. His tail is actually about half the length of his whole body. So that shows us that his tail is really, really important to him. Now, I mentioned to you guys that alligators like to live in freshwater areas. So their tail is actually what they use to swim. At the base of their tail here, they've got lots and lots of muscle. That's what makes it so thick. So that's what controls the tail. And then at the end of the tail on the tip, you'll notice it's very, very thin. That's what scientists call laterally compressed. So over here, it works kind of like a fish tail that helps to move them through the water. And when they swim, they just wag this long tail back and forth to help move them through the water. And this baby looks like he doesn't really want to show that off right now because he's not in the water, but that's okay. So yeah, their tail is very, very, very important to them.
So he is a lot smaller than the one I saw on the way in. He's about 7 months. He's
Yes.
a little less than a foot to me. So the guy that I saw on the way in was really big. So he was older. We can tell age by how long they are, sort of.
You can. So yeah, when alligators first hatch from their eggs, they're only about 6 inches long. And then they'll grow anywhere from 6 inches to a foot each year. So this little one has already grown 6 inches in the 7 months that it's been alive. So a little over half a year long. So this guy is right on track with its growth rate. Now, how big do you think the alligator was that you saw when you were coming into the park?
5 or 6 foot.
Okay, about 5 or 6 feet. So if an alligator grows about a foot max every year, that means that was probably about a 5 to 6 year old alligator.
Wow.
Now, when they get to 6 feet long, their growth rate slows down more than that. So an alligator who's maybe 8 to 10 feet long, that alligator could actually be full grown already. If it's a female, they only get to about 8 to 10 feet, and they can live to about 40 years old. So an 8 to 10 foot alligator could be a very old alligator.
Wow. So when we hear about these alligators, when they come up after a hurricane and they're talking about 8 or 10 foot alligators on Water Street in Mobile, those guys could be 8 or 10 years old, but they could be 40 years old. Wow, and he must be eating really good.
He is, yeah, we feed him very well here at the Nature Center. Yeah, and when they're this little, they'll eat relatively smaller foods. They like insects out in the wild, little fish, maybe some tadpoles. But once they get larger, they're not going to be able to live off of insects anymore, so they have to increase what they're eating. So then they'll go after fish and turtles and snakes. And as you can imagine, trying to break through a turtle shell with your teeth is really, really, really difficult. But alligator teeth are amazing. So here we have a tooth from an alligator. This was from about a 13-foot alligator, so very, very large tooth. And if you look at it closely, you can see it's got some chips out of it. It has some cracks in it from what the alligator was trying to eat. But luckily for alligators, what's so amazing about their teeth is that they can actually regrow them throughout their life. Alligators have part of their tooth that's hollow, and they're constantly regrowing new teeth underneath the old teeth. So that way when that one breaks or cracks and it's no longer good, it'll just fall off, and then they've got that brand new tooth underneath it. So absolutely amazing.
Wow, and they can continue to do this. So it's not like when we lose our baby teeth and we put it under our pillow for the tooth fairy to come and we grow another one. They continue, if he's 8 years old and he breaks a tooth again, eating a big turtle, he grows another one.
Exactly, and they'll replace each of their teeth about once a year. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us here to learn about alligators. Now we're gonna head over to the Nature Center and we're gonna see some more of the native animals that you can find here at Gulf State Park. All right, boys and girls, we're now over at the Nature Center here at Gulf State Park. And the Nature Center is open to everyone. You can come in even if you aren't staying in the park. And we're open from 9 to 4, Mondays through Saturdays. Right now we're closed on Sundays. But let's go ahead and check out some of the other cool animals we have in here. First, we're gonna look at our alligator pond. So this is where the alligator that we showed you just a little bit ago lives in its nice little habitat here. And over at the program, the alligator didn't really want to show off too much how it uses its tail to swim through the water since it wasn't in the water. But now that it's back in its pond, it is showing off for us really, really well. So if you watch, you can see how it wags that big tail back and forth to move through the water almost just like a fish. I'm gonna move over and see some of the snakes that can be found in the park. Here we have a red rat snake, and then right next to it we have a gray rat snake. And these two snakes are some of the most common species of snakes that can be found within Gulf State Park.
Now, they're not just common in Gulf State Park, are they? They live in our area, so I might see one out on a nature walk or in my backyard.
Yes, you could. Yep, that's always a potential. And these guys are non-venomous snakes. Now, you might have just heard, I'm not sure if you could, but we had one of our frogs call just a moment ago, so we're gonna go check them out. Here we have some bronze frogs and some southern leopard frogs. Now, the ones that are out and about right now showing off our bronze frogs, you can see how they have kind of that bronze color. And you might hear a bunch of frogs in your backyard, or if you go to the park, especially after it's been raining or at night. These guys are very, very vocal. And they like to call back and forth to each other and talk to each other. And again, we have the bronze frog and the southern leopard frog here, but one of the most common species of frogs in this area that you hear all the time is the green tree frog. All right, now we're gonna move over here and check out some of our turtles. Here we have an eastern mud turtle. And as you can imagine, out in the wild, they kind of like to hang out in the mud, like their name suggests, so they'll bury down into the mud. Right now he's basking though, showing off for us a little bit.
They like mud puddles. Do any of you like mud puddles?
And then next to the mud turtle, we have two other species of turtle. We have the Alabama red-bellied turtle that you can see swimming around right now. And the Alabama red-bellied turtle is actually Alabama's state reptile. Now, these guys, you'll find them up in the Mobile-Tensaw Delta. So obviously around the area of Mobile, and the water is good habitat for them, and they are endangered, which means that their populations are lower than what we want them to. So we need to do everything we can to help protect these guys. One really cool thing about Alabama, though, speaking of turtles, is that we have more species of freshwater turtles here in Alabama than in any other state in the United States. So we have an incredible amount of biological diversity, is what we call it, when we have a lots of different types of animals.
So, Miss Johanna, this one says this exhibit is empty.
Yes, so normally we have an animal who lives in here. He's called an eastern fence lizard, but he's not in there right now. He's actually hanging out with me on my shoulder. You might have noticed as we were walking around
You
before.
had a friend with you.
He was hanging out. So these guys are also native to the area. Like their name suggests, the eastern fence lizard. Sometimes you can find them hanging out on fences, basking in the sun and warming up. But if you look really closely at him, you'll notice that his scales could blend in really well with tree bark, what we call camouflage. So he can camouflage really, really well on trees. One of my favorite things, though, about these eastern fence lizards is that they have really cool tails. Because if they get scared, their tail will actually fall off. What? And the tail will wiggle, and that way, hopefully, whatever scared them, whatever was trying to eat them, will go after that tail, and then they can run away. And they can regrow their tail after it falls off. But it does take a lot of energy for them to regrow that tail. So we don't want to try to scare them to get the tail to fall off. But if they needed to use it in an emergency, they could drop that tail really quickly.
This is one of our educational ambassadors, Hawkeye, the red-tailed hawk. And as a bird of prey, he would normally be out in the wild, soaring over wide open fields, looking for some yummy food, like maybe mice in those fields, or he would be building a nest up in a tree or on a cliff face. But he's here with us at the Nature Center because he was injured. Unfortunately, he got a virus called West Nile virus, and that impacted his eyes. He cannot tell how far away or how close something is to him anymore. So we have him because if he were back in the wild, he wouldn't be able to capture his prey properly. He would swoop down and try to land on it, but he would probably miss because of his eye problem. Now, Hawkeye is a great ambassador for us. He's very well behaved, and he helps us to teach people all about birds of prey. Now, birds of prey have very sharp beaks. You can see his long hook beak there, and they also have long, sharp talons, which he's showing off really well. So these birds of prey go after smaller animals. That's why they have these characteristics about them. And as a red-tailed hawk, Hawkeye has a beautiful red tail right here. I'm going to try to show it off. Pull it open a little bit. You can see that really pretty rusty red color there. Tails are so important for birds because it's how they steer when they're flying. They don't have a steering wheel like we do in cars. So when Hawkeye is soaring through the sky, he would wiggle his tail back and forth to change directions and to try and land or take flight. So their tail is so, so important to them.
Well, we've gotten to see all these incredible animals today, and I just had to know, what can we do to help animals like these, and how do we help take care of our local environment?
That is such a good question. So one really good thing that we can do, first of all, is to make sure that animals have a place to live. We have, especially down here on the beach, we have so many condos going up all the time. You know, we need places for people to live, so we're thinking of places that we can put people, but we have to remember that animals need a spot to live too. So that's why having places like Gulf State Park here that's protected and it's a wonderful spot for the animals to live is so important. Another thing that you can do every day to help animals out is just to make sure that they have a clean place to live. So any garbage that you have, make sure that it's going into a garbage can, recycle your recycling, and then even if it's not your trash, if you see a gum wrapper or any other piece of trash on the ground, you can pick it up and put it into a trash can to make sure that they have a clean environment to live in.
Those are easy things that all of us can do, so thank you so much for letting us know how we can be a part of keeping our beautiful home healthy for generations to come.
Yes, thank you.